Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Human Spaceflight News Rundown. Today's topics include the announcement of the name of the next Cygnus spacecraft, news on the delays of various spacecraft and rockets, as well as an update on Artemis 1. This series is intended to give you weekly updates about what's going on in the world of human spaceflight, ranging from the Artemis program, the International Space Station, and more. If you're new, my name is Derek, and my channel, Orbital Velocity, is all about telling the story of human spaceflight and our journey toward becoming a multiplanetary species. Before beginning, I want to welcome all of my new subscribers and thank those for leaving comments, as well as engaging in live streams. I sincerely appreciate it. Now, on to the updates. Starting with International Space Station news, on January 27, 2022, Northrop Grumman announced the name of its next Cygnus spacecraft bound for the orbiting outpost. Each of the company's cargo ships are named after those who have made significant contributions to human spaceflight. For the NG-17 mission, the Cygnus spacecraft has been dubbed SS Pierce Sellers, after the former NASA astronaut. Northrop Grumman said Sellers was selected because of his role in assembling the International Space Station, as well as contributions as a climate scientist. Over his 30 years, Sellers was a research meteorologist at Goddard Space Flight Center before joining the NASA Astronaut Corps in 1996. He flew into orbit 3 times during Space Shuttle missions STS-112, STS-121, and STS-132 to log nearly 35 days in space, during which time he performed 6 spacewalks totaling about 41 hours. After retiring as an astronaut in 2011, he became the Deputy Director of the Science and Exploration Directorate at Goddard before receiving NASA's Distinguished Service Medal in 2016. Sellers died later in 2016 at age 61 after a battle with pancreatic cancer. The NG-17 Cygnus spacecraft is expected to take up to 3,700 kilograms of cargo to the ISS. It's slated to launch atop an Antares rocket at 1739 UTC February 19th from Pad 0A at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport on Wallops Island in Virginia. After reaching space, the spacecraft is expected to take 2 days to reach the outpost before being captured by the Canadarm2 remote manipulator system. Cygnus would then be guided and berthed to the Earth-facing port of the Unity module. Over the course of a couple of months, its cargo is expected to be unloaded before being reloaded with unneeded equipment and trash. After leaving the outpost, it'll perform several post-ISS activities, including the deployment of several CubeSats for various customers. This will be the 18th planned flight for the Cygnus spacecraft and the 17th to fly under a NASA Commercial Resupply Services contract. If you want to learn more about the Cygnus spacecraft or its Antares launch vehicle, you can click on links right here. They should also be in the description below. Speaking of ISS cargo ships, it appears the first flight of Japan's next-generation cargo resupply spacecraft, the HTV-X, will be delayed. The delay primarily has to do with issues with the country's new launcher, the H3, which is expected to replace its H2A and H2B rockets. The 63-meter-tall H3 rocket is a 2-stage to-orbit system with the option of 0, 2, or 4 strap-on solid rocket motors. According to the Japan Times, in 2020, holes were found in the wall of a combustion chamber on the LE9 engine, as well as a crack on the turbine, requiring a redesign and prompting an initial delay. A second issue, which SpaceNews.com said was described as a turbine flutter, was found in June 2021 after the H3 Flight Test 1 core stage was shipped to the Tanegashima Space Center in January 2021. With JAXA engineers still working on adjustments and redesigns, a second delay was announced. The H3 was initially expected to have its first test launch in 2020, but because of the engine issues, the rocket is now expected to hopefully fly no later than March of 2023, according to the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. The first flight of H3 with an HTV-X spacecraft wouldn't occur until Flight 3, probably sometime in mid-2023. HTV-X is an evolution of the country's HTV Konnottori spacecraft, which launched to the ISS 9 times between 2009 and 2020. It is expected to be able to take some 4,000 kilograms of pressurized cargo and over 1,700 kilograms of unpressurized cargo to the ISS. Its pressurized volume would be about 78 cubic meters. It has a design life of up to 6 months while at a space station and up to a year and a half after departing that outpost. A lunar variant, HTV-XG, is also in development to potentially service the Lunar Gateway, which NASA and its international partners intend to build in a highly elliptical orbit around the Moon to be used as a way station for moon-bound astronauts. On to more delays. The first uncrewed flight of India's human-rated spacecraft, called Gaganyaan, has slipped from the middle of this year to no earlier than 2023. The Indian Space Research Organization has been developing Gaganyaan since the mid-2000s. It is designed to launch atop the country's GSLV Mark III rocket. Gaganyaan comprises a capsule and a service module with an overall mass of about 8,200 kilograms. The capsule is designed to hold 3 Indian astronauts. It's 3.5 meters in diameter and about 3.58 meters tall. The service module adds 3.2 meters to its overall length. The interior of the capsule is designed with a volume of about 8 cubic meters. On the service module, there are a total of 5 main engines and 6 reaction control thrusters. The whole vehicle is powered by solar panels and has a design life of about a week in low Earth orbit. There was already a re-entry test flight in 2014 and a pad abort test in 2018. 2 uncrewed test flights are required before a crewed flight can occur. Initially, India hoped to launch its first crewed flight by the 75th anniversary of its independence from the British Empire in 1947. That would be August 15, 2022. However, the first uncrewed flights are not expected to happen until 2023. According to the Indian news magazine The Week, the Indian Space Research Organization said the reason for the delay ultimately stems from the coronavirus pandemic. As of right now, the plan is for the first uncrewed flight to occur in the first quarter of 2023. A second uncrewed test flight with the Vyamitra robot is expected by the fourth quarter of 2023. Assuming all goes well with the uncrewed tests, the first humans could fly as early as 2024 and would likely include 2 or 3 members of the Indian Air Force. This would make India the 4th country to independently send humans into orbit after Russia, the United States, and China. In Artemis program news, Israel has signed the Artemis Accords, which is an international agreement between countries participating in the Artemis moon program. According to NASA, the Accords establish a practical set of principles to guide space exploration among nations participating in the U.S. Space Agency's 21st century lunar exploration plans. The Accords are designed to reinforce and implement the 1967 Outer Space Treaty. Its principles include peaceful exploration, transparency, interoperability of equipment, emergency assistance when needed, the registration of space objects, the release of scientific data, the preservation of space heritage sites, extraction of resources and compliance with the Outer Space Treaty, the prevention of harmful interference, and the commitment to planning for safe debris disposal. When first announced in 2020, there were 8 founding members: Australia, Canada, Italy, Japan, Luxembourg, the United Arab Emirates, the United Kingdom, as well as the United States. With the inclusion of Israel, there are now 16 members in the Artemis Accords. One notable absence, however, is Russia, which, despite being part of the International Space Station program, has not committed to the Artemis program, and has condemned the Accords as an attempt to create international space law that favors the United States. Acceptance of the Accords is a prerequisite for participating in NASA's Artemis program. Let's move on to an update on Artemis 1. NASA's first Space Launch System rocket, which is intended to send an uncrewed Orion spacecraft around the moon in just a few months, recently completed a countdown test inside the agency's massive vehicle assembly building located at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. According to NASA, this was the second countdown sequencing test, which occurred January 24th, and was one of the final steps ahead of rolling out the full SLS and Orion stack to the launch pad later this month. No issues were reported. The test involved the ground launch software and the ground launch sequencer, which NASA said checks the health and status of the rocket on the pad. NASA said the ground launch sequencer hands off to the rocket and spacecraft for an automated sequence that takes over control of the vehicle from the ground at around 30 seconds before liftoff. According to a NASA blog post, the next step is to complete final program-specific engineering tests for the Artemis 1 mission and prepare for a wet dress rehearsal. For the wet dress rehearsal, the full SLS and Orion stack will be rolled out to Launch Complex 39B. This is slated for mid-February. Once at the pad, teams are expected to fully load the SLS with propellant and go through all pre-launch operations in advance of an actual launch. The actual wet dress rehearsal is expected to occur no earlier than late February, after which the stack will be rolled back to the vehicle assembly building to be readied for the actual Artemis 1 mission. Artemis 1's launch could occur as early as late March. However, the late April or May launch windows are more likely. That's it for this week's news rundown. Artemis 1 is getting really close now. Let me know in the comments below if you think it'll actually launch before the summer. And if you've enjoyed this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss another video. And while you're at it, be sure to launch that like button into orbit. The more engagement and shares, the more the algorithm will recommend these videos to others on the platform. It also lets me know what topics you're interested in regarding human space exploration. Speaking of which, if you want to learn more about Northrop Grumman's Cygnus cargo ship, check out this video right here. And if you want to watch last week's news rundown, check out this video right here. Finally, if you'd like to take a couple extra steps to help support Orbital Velocity, there's a link to my Patreon page in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, Ad Astra.